It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin'Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us. It's the month of June. A lot has happened in the past couple of weeks, talking about, the first year in office of Mr. President and the current administration. We're a few days away from celebrating Democracy Day, another reminder of where we are all these years since the return of democracy in 1999. There's a lot of issues bedeviling the country. The economy continues to be a hot conversation amongst Nigerians. Insecurity, of course, is a big one. But if you live here, you know that power has also been in the news for quite a while now. A lot of Nigerians have had a lot to say, especially since the band system was introduced to Nigerians and the tariffs received a significant increase. We did witness a strike in the last week, and I know that the Nigerian Labour Congress, part of their demands were around the issues of reduction in the tariffs for power. They have suspended that strike. We don't know what's going to happen in the coming week, but as everybody knows, we're trying to keep our fingers crossed that things will be resolved as soon as possible, while we're hearing about 62,000, whether that's going to be accepted or not. But yeah, we're going to be starting off the conversation today speaking about power and why it seems almost impossible to fix this in Nigeria. I'm joined here now by Okezi Okave, who's an energy expert. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you much.
It's very difficult to know where to start, when you're discussing power in Nigeria, knowing where we have been and where we still are at the moment. And I think I just want to talk about, why, maybe in a nutshell, if you can, why it seems so hard to fix this. I was going through some numbers. I think between 1999 and 2010, for starters, we spent about 4.7 trillion in the power sector. Between President Jonathan and President Buhari was about 1.164 trillion. So we're talking close to 6 trillion naira spent, not counting this administration now on power, close to 6 trillion. That is a humongous amount of money. We've seen countries spend way less than that, sometimes a quarter of that, and seen significant improvements. Why is it almost impossible to move the needle? We keep hearing those excuses. Oh, we're generating enough, but we can't transmit. We're transmitting, but we can't distribute. Nobody seems to understand why this ecosystem, after 25, 27 years, doesn't seem to work.
Thank you very much for the question. For me, you've mentioned how much has been spent in the power sector. The truth of the matter is this: we still have to spend so much more. So we'll have to spend billions in order to crack the code, which has more or less shown Nigerians that. So it's as if we are not in a position to enjoy good power supply, but we are. We have a government that is very much interested in cracking that code, and the question is if they're able to achieve that. We as because I work in the company Central Energy Limited, we are very much interested in helping the government to crack the code. What I would say is a key thing that government should really look at is creating an enabling environment for investment to come in. Look at the private sector. They have the monies to bring into the sector to boost whatever power generation we need. So it's actually important for the government to more or less provide a platform where where investment can come in. And in addition to that, I would say the government needs to create a sector that is financially viable for investors coming in. I would want to bring in, let's say, 20 billion naira to develop power assets in Nigeria. The government has to give me that confidence so that I know that once I come in, I'm able to recover whatever investment I bring in. There are so many ways the government can play. There are so many roles the government can play in ensuring that our power sector becomes stable. It's a difficult code to crack. I would agree with you. You talked about the Gen codes, you talked about the DISCOs, also the TCN. These are infrastructures that need a lot of money for refurbishments, for new infrastructure. So the long and short answer to the question you've asked me is that money has to be pumped into the sector. More money has to be pumped in the sector. In addition to all I've said, I think the government has to put in policies that are more or less friendly for investors to come in. Yeah.
Most people hear what you're saying and wonder, is this a bright idea? Not that, I think everybody understands that money needs to be put in. But I think the worry is that, all this money has been put in and we haven't seen the results. I know you are because you're not in government, but we always hear this story about how the system does not allow things function.
Yeah.
So does more money fix it? If all of this money has gone in and nothing has changed, is it really a money conversation, or is it a systems conversation, or is it a private sector-led initiative that should fix this?
Well, the last part you've said more or less has hit the hammer on the nail. I would say the private sector needs to be brought in to provide more money into the sector and to play a more key role in ensuring that we have that boom in the power sector. It's important for the government, as I always say, it's important for the government to provide a platform for the power sector, for the private sector to come in. They should encourage collaborations between the public and private sectors. It goes without saying, for us to get our power sector to where it should be, we have to spend money. And in addition to that, we need to have a system in place that would give the investors coming in the confidence they need. I'm bringing money in. I don't want to make any losses. I need to be sure that whatever money I'm bringing to the sector, I recover my investment, hopefully with some interest. So the government has a key role to play. The private sector also has a key role to play. I'm sure with the good collaboration systems in place, yes, we could crack the code. Whether we are able to crack the code completely is a question for maybe another day.
So, Mr. President, in his New Year's address in 2024, at the start of this year, did say that he promised Nigerians reliable power supply. I don't know what reliable means, because it might not necessarily mean constant power. And he said that, Nigeria is not going to progress economically without power being sorted. So it looks like at least he understands that is very important. We're halfway through the year now. I think the one significant thing that has happened in the power sector is this introduction of bans. Band A and all of the hula baloo that has come with that. And the ridiculous, for want of a better word, bills that have come with that band without commensurate power being supplied. For a lot of people, we've seen complaints on social media, people speaking in the media as well, saying that, I'm a Band A customer. I am one of them. I don't get I'm
a Band A customer too.
1 hours or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't get any of that. And, is that... When you heard about this band or the banding that happened, did that seem like a way to start fixing this? Because I guess the thought behind it is to raise more money from the customers or their high-end customers, like they call it, to be able to, service this chain of power. Does that look like something that's going to work?
The intention of the government, obviously, is for it to work, but I think they've gone about it the wrong way. Before you think about increasing the energy tariff, you must put in infrastructure in place that allows you to generate more power. Not just generate power, allows you to wheel the power down to the final consumers who actually use the power. Once they use the power, they are in the position to make payment for it. So the money is really the monies that the government intends to make from having a band system, a band A, band B, and the increment of tariff. They need to do the legwork. They need to do the background work, which really is putting proper infrastructure in place. And for you to put proper infrastructure in place, as I always sing, there must be investment. The government must provide a platform, must provide an avenue for investors to come in. There should be that confidence. They need to give the investors confidence. I'm coming in. I'm bringing 100 million naira. I'm bringing $100 billion into the sector, and I know that I'm going to recover my investment. It goes without saying. And I think one thing that the government should have done before making all that increment was there should have been proper stakeholder management. You don't just wake up one morning and you're jacking up all the tariffs across the bands. It shouldn't be done like that. We have the MITO in place, which is a multi-year tariff system in place, which allows governments more or less set tariffs. But this should be done taking into consideration the economic realities before doing that. I'm not sure the government did that, and I wish they had, because if they had, probably a band-aid would have gone from 65 naira to maybe 150 naira rather than jumping straight to 225 naira as it were then. I was in Ghana about 2 months ago, and I picked up a newspaper. The first thing I saw was Ghana government reduces energy tariffs again. And I asked the question, was this done initially? It said, yeah, late last year it was done. And then about 2 months ago, another reduction. This is how you more or less create an avenue where the people who pay for power are giving confidence that the government is actually thinking of us while setting all these tariffs. If you're going to set the tariff high, then you have to deliver. You have to deliver power. You must.
Even with the delivery now, because you talked economics there, and it's something that I think continues to come up. I did see something on Twitter, I think, or X, like it's called now, a couple of weeks ago, from a company in Abuja, and they posted a picture of their bill for the month, and it was 40 million naira. 40 million naira. And this is a company I never heard of before, so I don't know if it's a big player or whatever. Mm-hmm. But regardless of what size the company is, anybody who receives an energy bill for a month of 40 million naira is a significant hit on whatever their returns or revenue or profits is. That takes us into the spillover effect on the economy, on people who are providing services, on people who are selling products. There are probably some factories that are affected by this who are manufacturing. There are people who are trading, who are going to... This will be felt, basically. Or the guy who feels like I'm in band Z, but I still have to go to the market, so I'll ask for services. And, of course, I'm going to transfer that cost to people. And these are some of the things that people are talking about. Like you say, the significant increase of this. Because, first of all, it doesn't even make sense that some people are paying for power more than others. But let's even leave that aside. Maybe they are high earners or whatever it is. But the effect is still going to be felt nationwide. Does that make sense?
Ebuka, you're putting me on the spot right now.
I am.
So, I would sit on the fence regarding this. But I'm a Nigerian just like you. I have bills to pay just like you. So, and I feel the pinch in my pocket when I am made to pay so much for power when I'm probably not getting the power I've paid for, which more or less they have charged me for. I also think about the low-income earners in the country who are just barely scratching it together, who have to then pay so much money for energy. It's not right. That's just the long and short of it. It's not right. But what has to be done by the government? The government, as I was always saying, the government needs to focus on engagement, stakeholder engagement. They came up with a new tariff system where proper stakeholders carried along, where Nigerians informed of these possible increments, when Nigerians informed of the increment itself, of how much increment was going to put on what they're already paying. I don't think so, because the feedback we got from Nigerians was that it just came out of the blue. It came out overnight. So once you carry Nigerians along, the first thing you're telling Nigerians is that we are going to increase your power tariff, but we are also going to ensure that we give you stable and reliable power supply. The band A, the guys who have 20 hours get the 20 hours. Before the show started, you told me about how many hours you get on your band A, and I told you the same thing, almost the same thing for me. So why would I be paying so much money for band A and I'm not getting enough power? I'm not getting band A power. And if I'm not getting band A power and I'm band A, I'm pretty certain whoever is on band A is going to get less power than me. So what the government needs to do is that they need to realize that we Nigerians, we will pay for power, but they need to give us power. And in the mix of all of this, we have the private sector, who I know for a fact are very, very much eager to contribute to the development of the country. Yeah. It's a no-brainer that a country with good power system is a country that will develop properly. Sorry to continue there, because you just mentioned the private sector. And before we get to you, I want to talk about these Siemens. I don't know if that's the pronunciation of their name, or we call them Siemens here. This German company that keeps coming up. I think they signed a deal in 2018 or 2019 to work on the power sector here. It was such a big deal at the time. I think German Chancellor Merkel was in power at the time. Mr. President has come in now and has held another round of negotiations and conversations. And one of his spokespersons, Ajurin Gelale, came out to say that within 18 to 24 months, this deal will start seeing the light of day. But it's been a couple of years now. Most people don't even understand what Siemens is supposed to come here and do, and how that is supposed to revolutionize this industry, and why it's taking so long. Do we have an idea if this is still in the plan, and what it might look like if it actually happens? Well, for the Siemens deal, I mean, I don't know why it's taking so long. I can only speak about possibly other private players who have the capacity to help develop our power sector. I would, if you permit, I'll talk about my company, Tetracore. We recently commissioned a 3.1 million scof of gas CNG plant in Ogun State, Atakabo. We at the same event, we also did some groundbreaking for an LNG, a 10 million scof LNG plant at the same location. And our main focus is ensuring energy security. We sang the song on that day, and I'll sing it right here. We know that once we have committed players in the sector, our sector will improve. Once the government gives us an environment where we know we can bring in our investment, we can bring in our funds, definitely there will be recovery. Proper policies are put in place. There are regulatory frameworks put in place. Everything that has to be in place, put in place. The private sector, take it from the private sector, would rise to the occasion in this country and deliver on the power end. The question is the government ready to involve the private sector the way we want to be involved in?
What is hindering that? Because we've heard in the past, at least recent past, about the liberalization of the sector. State governments were supposed to be allowed to now do their thing. Then we heard that there was a pullback on that. Not sure exactly, but what do you mean when you say the private sector needs to be let in? Because there's also the argument that, because of how bad the situation is, do all of this, quote unquote, not necessarily speaking of you now, but quote unquote, small players, are they going to make that much of an impact in the industry that needs huge investment?
So if we have 1,000 private players in the sector, don't you believe that there will be some kind of improvement? There will be some kind of impact? No, I'm not just talking about my company or 2 or 3 other companies. The government needs to put in place avenues, put in place measures where private players will come on board and be so confident in the government, in bringing the money in and recovering their money. There's the whole foreign direct investments. Some have spoken about their interest in coming to Nigeria. Some have more or less shunned the offers of coming to Nigeria. We need to make this country attractive for investors to come in. And in addition to that, the government needs to be a little bit realistic in their expectations of the private sector. I would pick up an experience we had sometime last year while we were trying to raise financing for securing an upstream assets. The signature bonus itself was a lot of money to pay. We met with investors in Dubai, we met with investors in London, and conditions they gave us more or less made it difficult for us to raise the financing. Somebody then said, why is your government's signature bonus so high that you struggle to even pay for just the first level? You are struggling to pay for the first level, knowing that once you get the assets, you still have to pump in much more money in developing the assets. So the government needs to more or less create that avenue, that space where the private sector can come in and know that I'm bringing my money in and there will be no issues. It's, as I said, some of these things are topics that we probably talk about another day.
I have 2 very quick questions. We're almost out of time, so please, very quickly. First of all, you talked about your company. You guys are working with gas.
Yes,
and
natural gas.
We've heard in the past about the supply chain of gas and how it probably has been an issue in the past. We hear all of this talk about renewable energy, solar, and all of that. Why is gas a better, efficient way? And why should we be looking at that?
Well, the simple answer is gas is cleaner. It's more environmental friendly. So we talked about quickly. So we talked about the energy transition plan that the federal government has from Buhari's administration, which President Tinubu's administration is trying to promote. Kudos to them for that. And one of the things they are trying to push out there is the fact that natural gas is cleaner than fossil fuels, and natural gas is more or less more environmental friendly. So that is one of the reasons why we are very passionate about natural gas, and we know that within time, most likely before 2060, which is the net zero target that we have, we should be able to transition properly from fossil fuels to natural gas.
On a final note, on a scale of 1 to 10, very quickly, how would you rate the Minister of Power, the current minister?
I would keep my answer for now. I think he's doing a very good job. And kudos to him. He has done so well. I would give him a 5. I'll give him a 5. Very strong 5.
Very good. Okay.
A very strong 5.
Thank you very much for being here today. And good luck with all your things. We all need power here, so we're rooting for you guys to succeed. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're switching our conversations now. Something that's taking the entire world by storm. Podcasts. If you're a human being anywhere, whether you listen to them or not, you definitely have heard about them and know that they are really the thing globally now. A lot of us are being threatened that our jobs are under under pressure because the podcasters are taking over, what it is we call traditional media. And I'm joined here now by two people who are going to be talking about, why this is happening and what's this craze looks like, especially here in Nigeria. I'm joined here now by Kimberly Aminobi and Chukwudi Ezugu, or husband material. I don't know what to call it. Thanks. Thanks to both of you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
People have said it's a pandemic or an epidemic. Maybe let me not take it that high of podcasts that's happening across the world now. But Nigeria has shifted into a different gear now, and I want to start with you because you're one of the quote unquote culprits of this. You are a part of the Honest Bunch, I believe.
Yes.
Which is what's your rating now?
Africa's biggest podcast.
I knew he was going to go there.
I mean, the numbers don't lie.
What made you guys come together with that? What did you see? Did you see this becoming what it has become?
So when I had the conversation with Nedu and the other guy, we looked at what was prevalent in the world and also in Nigeria. And in the past, for a lot of people, it was elitist because you had to do a lot of research and speak big grammar. But now you have people who just turn on the microphone and express themselves. You mentioned traditional media. There are loads of rules that you must conform to or else you would get into trouble. But with this, it's a lot easier. And so long as you are expressive and you can be very, very loud, just tell it as it is. But when I had the conversation with Nedu, I told him, we can look at what we have now, but we can make it better. So let's always look out for impact. Because the truth is, if people are going to take their time to spend, say, an hour or two watching you share your thoughts and express yourself, if you leave them with something that they can take away, it would, be of value. So that was essentially what we targeted, came out strong. We did a couple of episodes that some people ignored. But when we had that hit episode, to God be the glory, which was, it featured Adala Pinky, who said that she would rather date older men because they give transport as against young guys who just want you around. She was the one that said if she wants to go out on a date, she would, pay for makeup, get a new dress and all. That was the 8th episode in the first season. And since then, we're grateful to God for his mercies.
You have your roots in traditional media.
Yes.
You do too as well.
Yes.
Are you a podcaster?
Okay.
Or an aspiring podcaster?
Okay, so I have.
And what do you think of the culture of podcasting in Nigeria? Because he's spoken there now about, the fact that, you share your opinions, which is a great thing. Traditional media restricts you to an extent.
Yeah.
There's certain words you can use. There's certain things you can say. There's certain conversations you can have openly because there's rules. But at the same time, the culture that has pervaded this thing now, what do you think of it coming from your background?
Okay, so I would say most Nigerians tend to, copy the West. And the same West you guys are copying, you're not seeing that you're doing way too much than they're doing. Because there's this show... No, don't worry. There's this show called Cut.
Yes.
And I see the show it's programmed to watch how human beings act. It's just the same way Big Brother is, just to monitor how people's character, how two people can be alone in a room, how they interact and stuff like that. But I think people tend to forget like you said, you had your guidelines for how you wanted your podcast is, but now your podcast is trending for controversy.
No, not really.
It is.
Not
the most times you guys have gotten really big hits was actually controversy.
No, not true.
Yes, the last one. Last one.
I mean, it's not.
The last one shocked Nigeria. No. And I'm going to still say it. I think she just was expressing herself. I will still say it now, say it tomorrow. I don't think she is that kind of person. I think she was just, it's a podcast.
Do you find that is now happening a lot? And that's the two of you.
Yes.
Let me start with you and I'll come to you. Where people are saying things now, because it looks like, and that's where this conversation about, the podcast clout chasing has come from.
Exactly.
But people say that, okay, all of these podcasts are happening. People are saying the most outlandish and ridiculous things and try to out-ridiculous the last podcast so that you can get some conversation. You find that's what's happening.
That's what's selling. I just feel human beings don't like hearing the truth. When you lie to people, they buy it. So you have to come out and say the most ridiculous thing, and people are like, wow. Then they talk about you for a week. People just wake up one morning and just do the most ridiculous thing just because they want to trend.
Yeah.
And she trended for like a week or...
Yeah. So let me two-part question coming to you from that. First off, when you sit with these people, which you do, is it weekly? Is it
weekly?
About
Mondays
weekly,
at 6 p.m.
Do you find that sometimes you're like, this story is really just exaggerated? Do you know sometimes that these people are chasing clouds? So you just let it be?
So what we do is have a proper conversation as a team before we say, this guest best suits this episode. Now, a lot of people get to see the teasers on social media, and that is when people begin to share hot takes. And
this last one she said was more than teasers.
Well,
the entire episode.
well. So the truth is, that episode featured two people. Some sex therapists who shared
brilliant,
very great insights. But people saw, that particular teaser and ran with that. Truth is, like she mentioned, there are so many people who are a reflection of some of these people who appear on these panels and share their thoughts. But what we try to do is have proper conversations, build proper context, ask, great questions, and get the responses. If you go on YouTube, or if you watch the full video, you would hear people say, you would see people, share comments like, thank God I watched the entire footage. I have learned this, I have learned that. Now, if we even look at some of these videos, a lot of people have a perception about certain guests, and they do not want to, because of that perception, you think this is who this person is. The podcast in Nigeria that has the most views is the Honest Bunch podcast that featured Portable. Over 1 million views. And the episode was titled Managing Success. If you go through the comments, over 4,000 comments, people were like, so this guy gets sense like this. You know why?
So I guess
because they already have a perception about this person. But when they watch and listen and say, this person might not be, let me not say book smart. This person might not be learned, in quotes, but this person is actually very, very street smart and understands the business he is very much involved in.
I said it was a two-part question, and I get you on all of that. And this is not just to the Honest Bunch or to you in particular. It's to the podcast culture. The second part of the question is this, which is what you sort of alluded to when you were speaking initially. You started this podcast, people didn't really pay attention. You got one that sort of got people talking. Isn't it true? Be honest, as the Honest Bunch member, that you found something that worked. And said, okay, this is what is going to keep this thing being talked about. Mm-hmm. And you leaned into it heavily. There was a time your podcast was accused of sort of, tilting towards women conversations,
which was very false.
But my point is, you obviously lean into something. You also know what you're doing when you're releasing those teasers. Why don't you release the teaser of the other parts of the conversation? I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, so
you're leaning into something. That's what gets people.
I held on to controversy.
So no, the truth is, we actually release multiple teasers. But like I said, people see stuff, and many of the people that share these teasers are also looking to generate traffic for themselves. And so the accompanying caption to the video.
Everybody's chasing clout.
No, they are the people chasing clout. We are not. And I'll give an example. I mentioned Portable, Managing Success, the most views. But I've also had The Stalker, nearly 800,000 views. ID Kabasa, nearly 700,000 views. Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, nearly 600,000 views. Helen Paul, nearly 700,000 views. And a lot of these people shared great insights. Like I said, the numbers don't lie. It is not me trying to convince people. The numbers are there for themselves. So it means that a lot of people saw those episodes. But the ones people will get to speak about are the ones they see on multiple platforms, because even these platforms are looking for traffic. They don't generate their own content. So anything they see, that's why you're going to see, post on certain popular blogs with the caption, groom, pours wine away on his wedding day.
Yes.
And people will come and begin to say, you don't want me to poison up. You don't want this, you don't want that. That is what those people are interested in. And that is what will generate traffic. But just put, for example, a need for a mind shift in Nigerian politics. You see 2 comments. So I am saying some people are taking advantage of that, but not we. Because no. I just gave examples of.
Let me get her perspective.
Views.
Is he not right though? I mean, he's passionate about this thing. But then again, I guess what he's saying also makes sense, right? As much as, yes, there's a podcast culture. Yeah. He might be defending his own podcast, but there's a podcast culture. Isn't that a reflection though then on the listener and what they're interested in? Because whether we talk about this podcast culture thing, there's a lot of Nigerian podcasts that are very, very good and do not quote unquote chase clout.
Exactly.
You see the views. You don't see those numbers because people don't want to listen, unfortunately, to those very serious, healthy conversations sometimes. So isn't it more a reflection on the listener than the podcasters?
Like I said, it still boils down to the clouds. Everybody just wants. They don't want to hear good news. They just want to hear bad stuffs, horrible stuffs, erotic stuffs. Stuff like that. Apart from podcasts, there are also other shows that sometimes, like the non-marriage dating. Sometimes when I'm bored, I just watch it to laugh because at the end of the day, I think she should just change the name from dating show to Survival of the Baddest Mouth
or Basbos.
God bless you, because it's not a dating show anymore. It's now, okay, I don't like your outfit, I can't be with you, and then you're pissed because I don't have the right to my own opinion, and then it turns to back and forth. And I'm sure there are very interesting parts of the show that ended well, but no, it's the Basbos we the audience are seeing. So why
of the audience.
Exactly? So why are they not cutting the part that's very educative and showing to the viewers? Why are you giving us the ones that make us? Again, it boils down to bloggers, like he said, the bloggers.
I honestly think they don't owe it to anybody. I mean, because they don't conform to certain rules, and so they will do anything to just push the audience.
Exactly.
Now, when we also started, I said, see, you have to curate content for a niche audience. Leave every other person. There are people who would come from maybe Instagram, other platforms. Oh, I want to watch the full episode. But anybody that would dedicate their data and their time to listen to you for 2 hours, that is the person you should think about.
Exactly.
Not the person who wants to see certain things and maybe because they are sensational, come and watch.
But you find another podcaster that way?
Other podcasts in Nigeria? Yes, I do.
Like?
I will not give them free. I will not give them free publicity. But the truth is, there are specific podcasts with content that are tailored to address certain things in our society.
Exactly.
But it is also what the audience is looking for.
Exactly.
What the audience is looking for.
Which is why I say, and I know that because I've seen your podcast. I've seen a number of them. A lot of your podcasts are good. But at the same time, there's also no doubting the fact that we know our audience. You have been in the media for years, many, many years before podcasting. You understand the listener. You know what they like to hear. You lean into it a few times. You go for shock sometimes. Like the last episode we're talking about, and many other episodes, the shock value works. You are even shocked sometimes when you're doing that. So you can't deny the fact that you lean into it quite a bit, right? Secondly, and I asked this a different way before, do you always believe your guests when they're on? When they're saying these things?
So I think that because we, build the context and we know what to expect in the end for the person who is viewing, we don't care about, so long as you don't come and start, maybe sharing false and misleading information, we might not be able to tell. But if you come and share false and misleading information that can put the lives of, other people at risk, it's our responsibility to call you out straight up. And also, like we always say, you are entitled to your personal opinion, but you are not entitled to the facts. Yeah. Facts are sacred. So if you want to come and share your personal story and want to try to make it look like that is what exactly it is, if this is your opinion, if this is the fact, we would call you out straight up.
Do you think podcasts should be regulated? He's watching you closely.
No, jazz can be. There's some like you mentioned something now. The Ross, the whole side D. I don't even know her name. It caused like a really big drama on the internet. I was even called a pick-me girl on top of that issue because nowadays girls feel that's the right way to meet a man right now. You need to
girls.
No, I'm not.
So do you think that's an indictment on the podcast or on the girl?
Like it was on their podcast.
So
and now it was
they have some responsibility for that?
Yeah, I think they should have countered.
But we did though. I told you that we had somebody else on the podcast. First.
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling you. That other person you had now, Nigerians didn't really see that other person you had. It is the house that is still trending.
Some Nigerians.
Because that same week, we had guys who came on the internet and started posting ridiculous demands from girls that they just met. I mean, it was crazy.
This debate is tricky. Do you think podcasts should be regulated?
I think that the moderators have a responsibility to the audience, to the viewing audience, because it is a platform that impacts lives. So you must look out for the people. And so bringing your wealth of experience from maybe traditional media, it's important that you tell the person, when the person begins to talk nonsense, you call out the person and tell the person, this is not true.
Very true.
And that's what we do.
You can check out the Honest Bunch on YouTube.
Thank you, sir.
They are quarrelsome.
Yes, very, very
We're
quarrelsome.
going to take a break. I'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I have a very special guest here with me who is, I guess, a fundamental part of the Nigerian story at this point. The brand has heavily influenced a lot of our lives in some way or the other across the nation and has fed us in both our times of need and our times of celebration. And it's a celebration here today because they're marking their 20th anniversary. Started in May 2004. I believe.
Yep.
And it's 2024 now, 20 years later. Chicken Republic is 20 years old. I'm joined here now by the AMD Food Concept PLC, owners of Chicken Republic, Kofi Abunu. Thanks for being here today, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. I thought you were going to spread, a few things here.
It's on its way.
Yamarita and things. How's it going? Tell us a bit about this story. I think I've read a few things about how this journey started at a time when the fast food culture was starting to take some sort of roots in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Probably had like one or two major brands at the time, and you came in a sector that probably wasn't too tested by the private sector. What made you decide to do it, and what has kept you going?
Well, thank you. Well, first, we came in with an international brand from South Africa, a chicken brand. And we soon got to find out that, unfortunately, the taste profile didn't meet the West African taste, because we like our food a lot more spicier and so on. And then, obviously, after doing some research in the market, we came up with the Chicken Republic brand and started rolling out. The sector basically has changed over the years. What has happened is that it's gone from being a treat and a special and a destination to becoming a convenience. Okay, and I think that's what we've also tried to do, is just try to move along with the times as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been an interesting ride, but it's been an exciting one as well.
You talk about, understanding the palates here, and I think that's a very important conversation. And sometimes I find people talk about, the fast food culture in Nigeria and how, everything has to become about Nigeria at the end of the day, no matter what brand it is that comes from the globe. And I don't think that's a bad thing, even though people find it funny. You go to India, I hear some of these coffee brands there sell tea, because tea is very important to the Indian.
Exactly.
So you're going to come here, you're going to give us our jollof rice and our moi moi and all of that. But you've continued to evolve still over the years.
Yes.
How often does this happen? What informs this? And also, of course, economically, the pockets of Nigerians also continue to change. So how do you evolve through that? Because we've seen a lot of brands die off. And when I say lots, I feel like I'm even underestimating or not saying enough of how bad it has been for other brands. So how have you continued to evolve and stay in business?
I think, look, it's been challenging times. We all know Nigeria. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are in Nigeria that will say, if you can do business in Nigeria, you can do business anywhere. And, and that common word of resilience, okay, is key in our brand as well. What has happened is that we try to understand the market, like you said. And like you said, it's not a bad thing being Nigeriafying your menu, okay, because after all, that's the sector that you're serving. So what we've done is always done our research, try to get into the market, try to come up with exciting things. I remember back in 2015 when we were having some serious fuel crisis issues, all the queues. And in 2016, we came up with the refuel meal, the 500 Naira refuel meal.
I remember.
And that was the genesis of it. We thought, well, look, customers are not coming, times are hard for the market. What can we do to, create something affordable for the market? And the 500 Naira meal came out, and it just took off from there.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Let's talk about this nice. Because tell us the story of nice and how it has become this phenomenon. And everybody, it's such a catchphrase. Where did it come from? Why did it start? And how is it now such a thing?
Nice. Well, it kind of started from, a menu item, a promo that we started. We started this promo, and the product name was just titled, let's say, yam chips, nice. And all of a sudden, the staff started using it inside the shops. They started using it as a way of getting attention and motivating themselves and cheering themselves up on their shifts. Then before you knew it, we had customers sharing nice moments in Chicken Republic on social media and so on. And so it just became part of the trend and even part of our training program now. So any staff that comes on, they're actually trained to say nice, and you'll hear the staff in the back respond nice, and everybody knows that there's an order about to come or there's a special request about to come, and that's how it's taken off. But it really energizes the guys in the shop and keeps them motivated.
I think it shows that it was more organic than sort of a policy, which is why it works out that way. Let's talk a bit now about, competition and how that has affected your business as well. Like I said, a lot of brands have fallen up, but we also had brands that came in, and tried to, get in the dogfight pretty much. You have survived quite a number of them. Yeah. And how do you adapt to that as well? Both the ones you met in the markets and those who have come in to meet you in the markets and still stay the Chicken Republic that we know, because it's very easy to sort of say, this is what's happening now. It's either you lose the fight or you try too hard to adapt to the fight and lose out. How do you go through that? Especially, some of these companies have a lot of money when they come in. So how do you go through that?
So what we normally do...
And what has been the toughest fight?
I think, when you start opening up branches and you start becoming one of the biggest players in the market, there's a tendency for your competition to start opening up right next door to you. And I always tell people, and I always tell my staff as well, don't be afraid to just stay on your course, keep focus on your own business, okay? And keep on doing because we've already done the research. We've proven that customers love what we do, all right? So it's almost like if it's not broke, don't fix it, so to speak. But always we keep on just researching our market and trying to find new ways of, exciting the market. And like I said, it's just like the 500 Naira meal. It was a time where we understood what was going on inside the economy. We understood what was going on with the market. And we said, look, we can't keep on charging these prices. We have to come up with something that the Nigerian man on the street can afford. And that's what we keep on doing. So we keep on innovating that way and come. But still, exciting new products. And so we'll keep on coming out.
Do you often take the fight to them? Because I feel like that's happened a few times. I mean, almost all to assert yourself.
I think most of the time the fight is brought to us, and it's almost like you just have to retaliate. But not all the time. I think the fast food business and the market is very big for all of us. If you've got the right product at the right price point, so. Like I said, we tend to focus on what we do best, okay, and try and make sure that we're giving our customers what they're asking for, rather than trying to copy what somebody else is doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you have 187 stores, or is that more or less?
We have 204 shops.
204?
In 26
how many states? 26 states. 26 what informs, your locations and what makes you go somewhere? What do you look out for? Demographically, or just people are going to eat anyways? What do you look out for?
No, I mean, we have a whole document that we have to fulfill. You look out for the demographics, you look out for the traffic counts, you look out for other retail businesses in the area, you look out for the residential estates that are close by, because you're trying to fulfill, as a business, you're trying to fulfill each day part. You want people that are coming for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you also want people that are coming over the weekends as well. So we try and make sure we get a good understanding, and that will inform the size and the size and the menu that we serve at that location.
What do you think is your most ordered thing at Chicken Republic, if you know?
I think outside of jollof rice is our chickweed.
Chickweed is very popular. Yes. Okay, very, very good. Looking at 2024 now, many people have said it's probably our toughest economic time. In the Fourth Republic, maybe. We've gone through a time from 1999 to about 2014, 2015, when things were constantly on the up. Right now, I mean, we're talking about power earlier in the show. It definitely affects you as well. What's happening differently now with Chicken Republic at a time when you're celebrating, but you also understand that economically Nigerians are also making a lot of adjustments, with regards to people are always going to eat, but they might be eating differently.
Right.
What are you doing differently this time?
So we've always tried to remain affordable, and that's always been one of our strategies, to have an affordable menu so that all walks of life within our customers can eat at Chicken Republic. We've had to use different strategies, sit with our vendors and partner with them to see how we can bring down costs. We're looking at different energy efficiency, where I saw your earlier guests on energy. So we're moving a lot of our equipment to gas to reduce the cost of diesel and so on. And try and just create some exciting moments for customers to keep on coming out. It's a tough terrain out there at the moment. Food prices, from what I read from stats, are at like 40% at the moment. So you're always having to look at innovative ways of trying to make sure you can serve your customers. Yeah.
What's happening with this 20th anniversary? What should we expect? What do we, the customers, how are we celebrating with you?
So we got lots of exciting promos starting. We started off with our TV ad, giving the life of our journey so far. We had our partners, our delivery partners and business partners that came aboard, like Paystack, Coca-Cola, and others, Glovo and Chowdeck. And we've got other promotions coming on. Right now, there's a buy one, get one free promotion running on our delivery platform with Chowdeck. And so there's going to be other promos. So every Tuesday...
Buy one meal, get one meal.
Or get one free. Yeah. Okay.
The cameraman are doing some thumbs up behind there.
So every Tuesday, that's definitely running. Yeah. And there'll be more coming up throughout the year.
Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations and everything. What are the plans, though, for Chicken Republic's future? Expansions, new states, internationally? What's happening?
So I'm happy you mentioned internationally, because we keep on saying that, we're a homegrown brand. And I don't think a lot of people know that Chicken Republic is a homegrown brand. And, we keep on seeing all these international players come into our market. So we're definitely making plans to go over to them as well. We've already got an agreement signed with somebody for Canada. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We've got business in Ghana as well, operation in Ghana. So we're going to be expanding our Ghana operation. And we'll be looking at other West African countries as well. But we get calls and interest from people in the UK, the US, and so on. And so we're taking our time, investigating those markets, making sure that we've got our feet firmly on the ground here in Nigeria, and then definitely we'll explore outside.
I think that's very important. I'm very happy to hear that, because it almost feels like we don't export our food enough. And if this is one way to start that process, I'm definitely all for it. Now, just on the final notes, you are running a business. You've run a business for 20 years through all sorts of economic drama and all of that. You have a lot of young people who watch this show who are entrepreneurs or starting businesses and all of that, not necessarily in the fast food chain or in the food chain. But what should an entrepreneur who's trying to start off at a time like this, what are you supposed to be looking out for? Just any word of advice?
I think, for this industry especially, is you need to try and find ways of keeping your costs low. Customers, like you said, in the market that we are now, disposable income is tight. So customers are only willing to spend so much before they decide that, look, it's best for me to cook at home and come out. So you've got to find ways. One, understand your product. Don't try and be everything to everybody. It's not possible. Okay. And if you focus on those key products, you can then add them new ones on as specials as you go along. Okay. And as they become more successful, you can now keep them on. But try and keep your costs down. We just talked about gas. Okay. Move more to gas equipment than electric, considering all the tariffs and the diesel and so on. And, just research your market very, very well. Who are you targeting? Who's your customer? Okay. And find ways. Social media has made it so much easier for people to advertise at a minimal cost. Right, nowadays, you don't have to go and do billboards and TV ads and so on. So start off slow, remain focused, and gradually but surely
Thank you very much, Kofi Abuno, MD, Food Concept, owners of Chicken Republic. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary.
Thank you.
He said on Wednesday, you come and eat 2 plates
Tuesday,
of food. Tuesday, sorry. Tuesday, buy one, get one free.
On Chow Deck.
I hope the queues are not crazy on that day. But congratulations on everything.
Thank
I wish
you very much.
all the very best. We're very
much.
proud of what you're doing and continue to, sell Nigeria as worthily as you have.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for being
Thank
here
you.
today. And like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Please use the hashtag Rubbin'Minds when you send us a message. I'll see you next Sunday.
Don't just stand there teasing me.